Hello everyone. Welcome to Anita Crochets. My name is Anita. Today we are making a very simple top. It's super beginner friendly, and I ensure that I work this top slowly so that even a beginner can actually learn how to make themselves this top. First of all, I need to mention that the tutorial for this skirt is ready on my channel. You can go and check it out. And if you need a written pattern, it's also available on my online shops for purchase. All right. Otherwise, everything as you see it is very simple. This stitch pattern is called the up and down stitch. Some other people call it the form stitch, and I'm going to be taking you through how to make it. As you can see, the back is an open back. I love the feel of this texture, the feel of it, the look of it, the thickness it gives to it. So that means anyone working with thin yarn, or if you're working with cotton yarn or DK yarn, you know that kind of yarn is usually thin. So this stitch pattern is going to give it some sort of like gauge and thickness that we are looking for. Moving on to the materials that we are going to need for this project. I'm going to be working with this acrylic yarn, and its strand is actually thin, so I'm going to be doubling my strands for this project. But if you are working with DK yarn, the better. It's actually just going to work perfectly. Cotton yarn, DK yarn is going to work very well. Then I have a 4.5 millimeter hook. Okay, then you'll need a pair of scissors and a tape measure, just so you are on track. Before we get started into working this project, these are the adjustments you need to consider if you're working for different sizes. For every panel that I'm going to make for my breast cap, you will get your tape measure and measure the width of your breast. Okay, your foundation chains need to be to the width that gives you full breast coverage, okay, or gives you the coverage that you're looking for your breast. Okay, I am personally working a size small, and I'm going to be working 31 chains. Now, once you have the coverage or the measurements for the coverage that you need for your breast, all right, we are going to be working in sets of 2. Okay, so any number that is divisible by 2 is great for our foundation chains. But at the end of those number of chains, we are going to work one more chain stitch. Okay, that is why I have 31 stitches instead of 30. So once you have your 31 stitches, or whichever number that you're working for, we are now going to get into the second chain stitch from the hook, and there we shall work a single crochet, just like that. Now we are going to keep working one single crochet into every stitch all the way until the end of the row. Okay, so that means if you started with maybe, let me say, 38 plus 1, making it 39 chain stitches, you are going to end up with 38 stitches, because we start our row into the second chain stitch from the hook. That's why we start to work our single crochets. So basically you end up with an even number, because the point is to have an even number of stitches. All right, so just work your single crochets all the way going down until the end of the row, and that's why I'm going to meet you, then show you what to do next after this. Now here it is. This is how my work looks like. And for this row, what's going to happen is I'm going to be working a mesh stitch, just so that I make room for my drawstring that is going to run along my collarbone. Okay, so from here I am going to chain 3. 2 of the chains act as a half double crochet stitch, and then the one chain is for our chain gap. Now what happens is I'm going to skip the very first stitch and skip the second, then into the third stitch I'm going to work a half double crochet stitch. then chain 1, skip 1, work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1, work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. So I'm just going to keep doing this all the way until I get to the end of my row. Okay, just chaining 1 and skipping 1 stitch, then working 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. All right, so I'm going to let you guys work this all the way going down, and I'm going to meet you at the end of your row, and then show you what to do from here. And here we are, complete. And now I'm going to be working my next row. So I will chain 1, turn my work. Now I am going to work 2 single crochets into the very first chain gap, right into the chain gap. In that way, it's very easy to just insert your hook in there and work your stitches. Get into the next chain gap and work 2 single crochets, and just continue working 2 single crochets into every chain gap all the way until the end of your row. Okay, now with this, you must make sure that by the time you get to the end of your row, you must have the very same number of stitches that you had on your very first row after your foundation chains. Okay, if you don't have that, then you made a mistake somewhere. So let me meet you guys there, then show you what to do. Here it is at the end of our row, and I have the very same number of stitches. So now I am ready to get started on my stitch pattern. So we chain 1, turn our work 1 single crochet into the very first stitch, and then work 1 double crochet into the next stitch, work a single crochet in the next stitch, and then work 1 double crochet into the next. Okay, so it is just 1 single crochet in the next stitch and then a double crochet into the next. We are just working with single crochets and double crochets all the way until the end of our row. One thing I need to stretch out or to put clear into this is we start our row with a single crochet, and our row must be ended with a double crochet strictly. We only change that if we are working in rounds, but if we are working like go to the end of your row and then turn, get back, I don't know, working in panels, yes. If we are working panels, you must start with a single crochet and end with a double crochet. So this is how my row looks like. Okay, it's already giving that kind of texture that you saw. Now here I am going to chain 1, turn my work, and now into the very first stitch, which was previously a double crochet, I am working a single crochet, and now into the next stitch, which is a single crochet, I am working a double crochet. Okay, so again I go 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch. So you find that this time on this row where there was previously a single crochet, instead we are working a double crochet into that stitch, and where there was a double crochet, we are working a single crochet. So even with this row, we are working 1 double crochet into the next stitch and then 1 single crochet in the next. Okay, so basically we are just interchanging these stitches, nothing more. One thing I love about this stitch pattern is it's a 1-step repeat. I mean, the best patterns to try out are those 1-step, 2-step, 3-step repeats. Very simple, very easy, you know, and the results are always gorgeous. So we do this until the end of our row. Then I'm going to get back and just show you one more time how to work your next row so that at least everyone has this in mind. This is how it looks like after 2 rows of that stitch pattern. Okay, and even for the next row, nothing is going to change. We are working our stitch pattern, chaining 1, turning our work, working a single crochet into the very first stitch, and then a double crochet into the next, a single crochet in there, and then a double crochet into the next stitch. Okay, so even for this row, you just keep doing this until the end of the row. Remember I told you we start with a single crochet and we end with a double crochet. Okay, it's only when we are working tubes, not because this is a panel, but if we are working tubes, that's when this stitch pattern actually changes just slightly. But when we are working panels, we start with a single crochet and end with a double crochet. So you do this until the end of your row, and you just keep repeating what we have done for all the previous rows of the stitch pattern until you have a panel long enough to run from the top of your collarbone all the way down to where you want your, more like, let me say, all the way down your underbust. Okay, like just a few inches below your breast. Okay, that's the length we are looking for this top. So this is how it should look like. Okay, personally, I have worked 24 rows of the stitch pattern without counting the row of the mesh and the very first row. Okay, for the stitch pattern alone, I have 24 rows, and this is how my work looks like. The thickness is great, the gauge and everything, the texture is really great. So what happens from here is I'm going to be working along the edge so that I work my strap. So here I will chain one and turn my work, and I'm going to work one single crochet into the very first stitch. Then I will skip the next stitch and work a single crochet into the next, skip one, work a single crochet into the next, skip one, work a single crochet into the next. Now for me, I'm doing this 5 to 6 times, but if you're working a size large, I believe your panel is going to be wider than this, so you will just keep doing this, skipping one and working a single crochet into the next stitch until you are midway your panel. All right, I hope I am clear. In that way, it is easier for you to have a strap that is going to give you just enough grip for your breasts, or your breast size, or your bust size. Okay, so for you, you will have to do this until you're midway your panel, and then you can start working what I am doing on my next row. So for my next row, I'll chain one, turn my work, skip the very first stitch and get into the second stitch and work a single crochet, and there I will work one single crochet into every stitch all the way down. So you can see it is starting to curve, okay, because of the decrease we have worked. Okay, but that is very okay, it just gives us enough grip. Okay. Now for the next row, I will chain one, turn my work one single crochet into every stitch all the way going up until I have 2 stitches left to end my row, and into those last 2 stitches I am going to work 2 single crochets together. Chain one, turn my work, skip the very first stitch, work 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and do the very same thing for the next stitches until the end of your row. Chain one, turn your work 1 single crochet into the very first stitch, continue working 1 single crochet until you have 2 stitches left to end your row, and into those last 2 stitches you work 2 single crochets together. So you just keep going back and forth with this kind of decrease until you have only 1 stitch. Okay, just like you can see now. Once you have 1 stitch like I do, you are going to chain 2 and turn your work into that very same 1 stitch that you have. You are going to work a double crochet. Chain 1, turn your work into that very same stitch, you work a double crochet. All right, chain 1, turn your work into that 1 stitch that you have, you work a double crochet. Now this is how I managed to make straps that have good thickness, that can give you just enough grip for your top. Okay, so you do that repeatedly for a length of the strap that we are looking for, or the one that can wrap around your back all the way to the front of your underbust. All right, and once you have that, cut your yarn, weave in your ends, and then follow the very same thing we have done until you have 2 pieces of this, because we need the left and right piece. Okay, Now for me, I have my 2 pieces right here, as you can see. So for you, you're just going to follow exactly what we have done for that one piece that we have done and do a second piece. All right. Once we have the second piece, we are going to lay them onto each other like this, because now I need to have a string that is going to run through the mesh and tie it to the back of my neck, or do a crisscross to my back and then all the way down to my underbust. Now this is it. So you're going to get your 2 pieces, lay them on top of each other like this, keeping in mind that the straps that we just worked are on not opposite, let me just say opposite sides, because I don't know, but I'm going to show it to you. Before I show that to you, just get your yarn, make a slip knot and work as many chains as you possibly can, so that we have a string that is long enough to tie to the back of our neck, and then go down, do a crisscross to the center of our back, and then come all the way down to tie to our underbust. All right, so just work a string that is long enough, probably 200 chains plus. Okay, and I'm going to get back once I have my string complete, then show you what to do with it. Okay, so here it is. I feel like this is just enough length. Okay, so I'm going to have this run through our row of the mesh, that we worked at the top of our panels. That's exactly where I'm going to be running it into. So I'm going to get our panels. Remember, like I said, we are just going to lay them in a way that the top remains intact, but then as they go all the way to the bottom, they are more like being diagonal, you know. So I'm going to put it like that. So as you can see, the straps that I worked right here, you can see where they are. I just need you to place your panels in the very same manner so that we get the very same result. Okay, the corners that don't have straps should be on the other side. Okay, and then the ones with the straps should be what would be like at the center, just like I have showed you. Now once you know that your panels are in place, we are going to get our string and run it through the holes of both panels. Okay, following hole by hole. I would use a yarn needle at this point, but then I love to get handy, so I'll get into the next hole right there. Remember, I am passing it through both panels. Okay, but just following each hole of the mesh, going in, back and forth, just like that. So I'm just going to keep doing this all the way until I have gone through all holes. Okay, then I will pull my string so that it gives me similar length. Okay, now at this point our top is actually almost done, but then I need to show you where your strings your strings are going to tie to. So what happens is, when this goes to the back of your neck, it will make a knot just like that, and then you'll get one end of the string and find a hole just anywhere at the bottom of our panel on the other side that has no strap, and there we insert our string in there and do the very same thing for the other side of the string and the other side of our panel, the other side of the second panel, sorry. So in that way, this is pulled and tied to the back, while these 2 panels right here that we already had on our panels, these 2 straps right here that we already had on our panels, tie all the way to the back and then back to the front. Okay, and just like that, you have a top complete. Okay, I hope this was one of the easiest projects you have made for yourself that looks so beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.